So today I want to welcome Steve Buss, otherwise known as Koen, to discuss today. He's a long-term Star Wars CCG player. He was in the 1999 and 2000 Worlds tournaments. He was a finalist in the 2021 PDS2 Retro Tournament, and so I'd love to discuss with him kind of where he started it all.
Yeah, sure. I started actually at the very beginning, so with the premiere, and not really active at the beginning of tournaments, but we'll come to that later. And yeah, qualified for Worlds 99, 2000, 2001 as well, but because of like the whole the cancel of the CypherCon, and I didn't go to Worlds that year. And then actually I quit fairly quickly after that. I think just after Coruscant started, and then a friend of mine visited a local game store where I used to work when I was a student, and he said there was a reset, and he said, "Do you know people that are interested?" And that friend of mine said, "Well, I know maybe someone who used to play," and we met up at a gaming cafe in Amsterdam, and then I came back into the game because the game is great, and it was a good time to return to the game. So and since then I've been playing again. So, yeah, that's in a nutshell like the story from the beginning to where we are now, because I haven't stopped playing after I returned.
So, how far into the Star Wars CCG did you actually play? Did you play all the way through the Palace into the end? Did you have a desire to play after, or how did you feel about them losing the license?
No, I think I quit after Coruscant came out. There were some tournaments, and it was quite clear that Decipher was losing their license, and so it was also like a little bit with the Episode 1 stuff, and it was like, this is a good time to quit and try something else. So yeah.
So, are you okay telling us what did you try after kind of Star Wars CCG lost their license?
Even though like it was Decipher, and like they had some bet, like they were really pushing Lord of the Rings hard, so I did play that, and it was a fun game, but like nowhere near like the involvement that I had with Star Wars, and so it was fun, but not. I think I played the early sets, and then after a while, like that's okay. So yeah, I've always played board games, so I played a lot of board games with friends, and I think I played Jihad or Vampire the Internal Struggle as well, and just and other stuff in life. I play basketball as a hobby a lot, so I like that. So, but yeah, like I said, it was around 2015, and I got a message, and it was just around the time that like Vampire was losing a little bit of my interest, and I'm like, oh well, hey, Star Wars, right? Like, well, let's see how it is. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. So if we kind of take around 2015 to today, it's like 10 years that you've been back to Star Wars CCG. So, I mean, you've been playing, I see your name in various open tournaments. You're in the Retro Tournament 2021. How do you feel about Star Wars CCG today, 2025?
Well, this year I haven't been really active. So by coincidence, I'm heading to my first tourney this year. It's actually probably the first time I'm playing cars again in 2025. So it has been a bit of a set or a low activity, but I really enjoy the game, and sure, some development of the game I like more than and some less. But I think we have a great community, and that's like for me. Like if I describe this game to people that don't know like the scene or the community, like they get like really baffled reactions, like what the game is that since that long, and it's still active. And sure, it's a small community, but and it's just fun to talk about. So yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay. So let's go back to the origin. Let's go into some more detail. So you said you started in Premiere and you weren't doing tournaments, so who were you playing with? Just your family or friends, or like how was that started like for you? Like how the beginning?
Yeah. Well, we played Magic before that, and a friend of mine from high school, we were just we were at the end of the high school, and then we started college, and he said, "Hey, there's this game from Star Wars, so it was just coming out," and he brought a starter at I think just after it came out. And well, I've always been a Star Wars fan from when I was young, so that piqued my interest. And then we started playing, and yeah, the group that we played Magic with, just basically went over to Star Wars, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And at the beginning, we were like just playing each other, and the local gaming store I described earlier, uh, I came there more and more, and started seeing other people that played Star Wars as well. And yeah, so then we after a while we heard there would be a tournament, and that was the regional for I think 97 Worlds, and that was my first tournament, and that was quite nice to play your first tournament, a regional, and yeah, and I did fairly well, so that was nice as well. So yeah.
Nice. Do you happen to remember what you played in your first tournament, or is that too long
Oh,
ago?
definitely, 100%. No, I played EBO numbers, so for light side. Yeah, you'll probably hear some other number stuff coming to your direction as well. And I played dark side space numbers as well. So yeah, and there was a time that like most light side decks were like purely mains and toys with the Tatooine. Shuffle and mains and all kinds of sabers, lightsaber proficiency, and dark side usually also was mains. But we didn't have the cards, so that was fairly simple. And B, it also suited our playing style better. So we were playing a little bit wacky decks at the time. So yeah. And then it went really well. I lost my only game against the later world champion, Philip Jacobs. So yeah, and I came in third, and that was because someone was a really smart. Well, it was a German player who probably already played several tournaments. He lost his first game, but he was losing big time. But he just drew up his cards. So and his opponent had like apparently drawn up a lot of cards, so he only got a small loss. And then he was playing at the back tables, and in his last game, apparently he won quite big, and he managed to squeak by my differential. So it was okay. Like it was my first tournament. I was like, I remember getting boosters, getting Han Solo, which was my first main, I think. So it was like. Um, it was a great tournament and a great introduction to the game, meeting all kinds of different Dutch players and also other German players. So yeah.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, were there any surprises, your first tournament, like you found out, oh, that's the rule, or you found out there's interaction or anything like that you learned?
Um, yeah, I think because we were already in college, some of the stuff for us, even though I'm not a native English speaker, were relatively clear. So I think some of the stuff with the numbers that have been changed now, like inactive cards and stuff like that. So that
Right.
used to be really different. But that wasn't the case during that tournament. But that's something like I think if you play retro decks now and you see the decks from the past and probably a lot of people will ask, well, this doesn't work anymore, or why could this win? But like it used to be that undercover spies, like for example R2D2, like was active for his number part. So in the Dutch scene, there were a lot of people playing wacky decks with a lot of high Destiny undercover spies, and like those kind of decks don't work anymore if you use the current active current ruling. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, I guess it also works for you because you have like Bouch, right? And Bouch was Destiny 1, but she's an active, it doesn't hurt you. So you're right, but yeah, I guess you could have used undercover R2D2, get a 5, undercover some of these 3 Destiny, maybe it would have been better, faster. I got you.
Yeah, but I think, but overall, I think, it was quite a surprise to see like certain decks. I know one of the Dutch players who also played quite a wacky decks. He played like the Death Star Plans deck, and with all those recurring retrieval stuff, and just a lot of droids, and we hadn't seen that in action that much, so it was like fun to see, and. Yeah, and like playing lightsaber deficiency for dark side to cancel someone draining on Dagobah was quite fun. So that was getting to see that in action. That was So it was cool to see.
Awesome. Okay. All right, so you narrowly lose this to differential due to drawing up, and you I guess you drop some cards. And so what happens later? You just keep on grinding into 9098, or what happens after that?
Yeah, well, then I think we got the taste of tournament. So the next year there was like a Dutch only regional. I think you had some regionals at the beginning. There were like the regions were not really defined yet. So I think. I think our name used to be somewhere else, but the Dutch region was the Rijlot region. I think it had a different name then. But anyways, after that year, we had a solely Dutch regional, and then of course we participated. And once again, I played some numbers decks for dark side, and I think I played Throne Room Revo for light side because it was the Jabba's Palace era, and I managed to reach the finals, but unfortunately, because of like one of the reasons was like one of the finals opponent, Sander Dijs, which was a great player. We already played during the tournament, and I won by 41 in that game.
Wow.
So it was quite big, but because there were some time wins and losses, he got back into the final and he played against me, and he knew like I was playing numbers, and he could just he decided, and he knew I played like the Revo deck, so he could change his starting location, and like he already knew some of the surprises. So and then I lost his fight, but he played great. But it was a little bit of a strange that like winning big time, but then I couldn't finish. The finals that year, so came in second, but that gave me motivation to try again next year, and then I finally did manage to win a regional. So and then I made it to Worlds. So
Nice. So, and this is Worlds 1999, correct? The first one. Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So so Dr. Torch did not make it to Worlds 99. So and neither did Matt Sokol. So I haven't heard the story. What was Worlds 99 like?
No, they did. The 1998 was the operative. So the 99 was
I think it was Premier Indoor or something like that. Like Indoor came out.
Yeah, it was. It was. It was Endor, and I remember that I played Darkside Musicians, and I played Light Side. I wanted to play Light Side Hidden Base. That was also the deck I used to win my regional with. But I was afraid of two things at Worlds. Well, that's also changed now. But with the Hidden Base objective, like with the old school rules, you had to include your hidden base in your deck.
Yes. Right.
So and yeah, like I didn't know how they would like prevent certain scouting or just small tournament. I knew it was a small tournament, and I'm like, if I play hidden base and I play it first time, people know the hidden base, and then it was quite cutthroat back then. So I was expecting everyone knew, every next opponent knew, oh, he's playing that, and that is his hidden base. So I was expecting like that kind of shenanigans. So I'm like, probably not playing hidden base. And I played some hidden base beatdown deck, but was not really the best decision.
Okay. I'm just curious that the thought of like running, like two different. I know you have to run a copy. You have to run a copy. Like let's say your hidden base was Alderaan. You have to run 2 Alderaans. But why not say like run like 2 Alderaans and 2 Kashyyyks, just for example, right? Like you have choices you could switch, or that didn't go in your head.
True, but like it did like make your deck poorer because you had an additional 0 in your deck and one less card that you could use. So but it definitely is good as a fair point, and perhaps I should have done it because but yeah, I didn't, and it's fine. But like I knew the Polish guy Marcin Solonczak. He started 4-0 and he played hidden base. And after that, I think he lost all his games. So sure, it's a Swiss system. So, but I think like if people with the hidden base, you become vulnerable in tournaments if you expect people to know your hidden base. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, so like, what was the environment like? I mean, so this is the Worlds. I mean, did you travel outside of the Netherlands, right? That's where you're from. Like before, or did you travel out? Did you meet brand new people you saw online? Like, was there a big deck tech community that you involved in? Because you made a couple of posts I saw. I don't know what that was like with you.
Yeah, well, the funny that you say it because like when I got here, I barely knew any people. Sure, some names from like a tournament report or stuff, but I met a lot of people that I still know today, so that's great. I think like you had like hidden gems on the internet. Like sure, you had deck, but like you had certain sites that were like not really well known, and especially for some European communities, like they had some really interesting decks. I think it was called the Force or something. It was like a lot of Swedish decks, and they had some interesting decks, and so it was nice to see because like you can hardly imagine it now, but like you had like sub metas in countries, but also like metas because of GAMP, we cannot imagine anymore what it's like but you could play certain decks that no one had seen before, even though you had played it before, because like either no one had read the report or there weren't any reports. So the meta was developing way slower because of that. And that made it quite interesting, but also like sometimes you had like a deck that was popular that like that was the one deck people knew, but you could counter that, and it wasn't like the whole natural development like we see on GAMP now, that like with OCS stats that people see, oh, that's good, or what kind of deck works against that. Like that kind of data wasn't there. So either you had to like be creative in looking at various websites, and some people were probably talking to each other online then as well. But I wasn't really active in the online scene at that time. Like sure, a little bit of posts on decktech, but after Worlds 99, I met some people, and then we talked some more. But even then, it's strange, like you're describing now. I thought about it a couple of years ago. Then it was quite strange because I met some friends, and even we qualified for the next year. We didn't really did deck lines or just chat with each other. So I recently thought to myself, wow, it's quite strange because like like I said, we made friends and we just played against each other, and then somehow we didn't really connect on the creative process going into the next world, for example. And it was this, like, especially when you compare it now, like you have like all these kinds of playing groups, but also like you have Slack, you have GAMP chat, like it's way more natural, like to just stay in touch with a lot more people. But back then it was, not so, for me at least, it was not so so big time contacting other players, and perhaps it was also because like we had a playing group, so perhaps that was also helped, at least for that I could have some discussions with people playing the game.
That makes sense. Yeah, it was still the internet era, but it wasn't as advanced as it is today. So you're right, and good.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you make it to Worlds. You see some people you saw in term reports online. You made new friends. I guess what, American friends, new other European players all over the world, or what was that like?
Yeah, it was amazing. Like I remember like playing against Brian Fred, like, and that was like after we knew we couldn't make it to top 8 or top 12 anymore, and we just wanted to play Japanese sealed deck because we heard there was Japanese sealed deck. So I think we played our game in 5 minutes and said, okay, we're done, and we're heading off to like the Japanese sealed deck. And Brian is like a great friend now, and it's so much fun to hang out with him after all these years. So that's for example, that's one. But I also met like Martin Akesson. He's a great Swedish player. I think he was like, because he doesn't play anymore. A lot of people don't know like how good he was. Probably the players that played back in the day, but if you talk about like the great players of the past, he's definitely on my list of great players of the past. And he was also the one I've teamed up with Martin, and I met Yannick Lapointe as well, and we hung out quite a bit. And Paul joined our team at the last moment, so that was our team tournament team. And then, like Paul said in his interview, we won. So that was a great experience to just win the team tourney. So yeah, and I think meeting like all kinds of other players, and especially looking back at it, sometimes you see like people post pictures from back in the day, and then you see certain other players that were like really young back in the day, and they're he was already there, and now knowing that they're all also playing the game still, it's fun to see.
I know, I agree with you. It's amazing that there's still a large contingent of people who played it back in the day that they're still playing, again today, or online or in person. So no, I think that's great, and I agree with you. So okay, so that was 1999, and then I guess you keep on playing. You're inspired more, or did anything change for you, like your dedication to the game, or getting better, or is it the same, afterwards, or how was that afterwards?
Yeah. Well, like the dedication was definitely there. I was a student, and like, yeah, looking back, like you don't realize how much free time you have as a student only after you finish college. So I definitely played a lot, and I know I did some like surveys as a job, so from telephone. And I know I was always like making deck lists from scratch in my head, like during the work days. Just, so like it was continuously on my mind, like to improve certain decks and to think about decks. It was a fun time because like I said, you had a lot of spare time, and like I enjoy playing games, so board games, card games. So and when you enjoy it and you're doing fairly well with it, so then you get motivated to continue spending more time on it. So Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed 100%. Okay, so what? And so to qualify for Worlds 2000, you had to win a tournament, or how did that happen?
Yeah. So once again, there was that in 2000 there were first you had some once again a regional, but you had some more larger tournaments, and you also had like the European Championships. And first we had a regional, and it was just after Death Star 2 came out. Like I think it was like 1 or 2 weeks after Death Star 2 came out. So yeah, nobody knew exactly what was like the deck. Everybody knew like, oh, there are some really good decks you can make. But here comes like our weird deck. One of my best friends during that time, Johan van der Meer, who is also a great, especially innovative deck builder. Like he came up with this really weird deck, and the both of us, along with our other teammates, developed it more. And it was a There's Good in Him deck, which ran the Super Falcon and inserts, especially Anger, Fear, Aggression, and one of my favorite cards, and I know a lot of people hate it, but Order to Engage. It was just a brutal deck because now you can say, oh well, bring in kills, There's Good in Him, but at the beginning nobody knew exactly how to play it. Especially against There's Good in Him, because this was like 2 weeks after Death Star 2 came out. Yeah. And you start with a Destiny 6 Luke, and if you play inserts and you play Anger, Fear, Aggression, people tend to make mistakes and attack the Falcon, for example, and then you get Punch It, Legendary Starfighter, stuff like that. And there was like, especially at the beginning, like people like were like not prepared for it, and also I think that also helped, at least in Dutch meta. The Dutch meta wasn't like that heavy on mains compared to other regions. For example, Raltier Ops was always really popular, and I think that was also a really good deck. With Death Star 2, at the start, like it wasn't fine-tuned that much as you see now, but I think a lot of Dutch players already played a lot of Raltier Ops before Death Star 2. And against that deck, people really need to know how to play against it if you play Raltier Ops. And if you don't know exactly, then you're already losing so much force at the beginning. So that helped me win the regional once again. So there was. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think I played ROPS for Dark Side during my qualifier.
And was it like the Trooper version of ROPS, or was it kind of the ATSD version of ROPS, or do you remember what kind of version it was?
Yeah, it was more the ATSD version.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for this regional qualifier, were you able to stay in the Netherlands for this, or did you have to like travel outside, or where'd you have to go?
No. This was once again just for the Dutch people, and I once again played against Martijn Peters in the final, again the player who I won against in the previous year, and I managed to win that again. So it was nice, and then I think 3 weeks later or something, we went to the European Championships, and then that was nice because most of us were playing that strange Lightsaber deck again, and it went really well. But somehow, don't like sometimes it just the breaks. I think I was 4-0 at the day one European, and then I got some really strange gains, and I just barely didn't make it. So there was a bit of a bummer, but the benefit, one of the other great fun, and especially fun players, Maarten Rousseau from the Netherlands, he took my light set deck and played it on day two, and he reached the finals of the European Championship and barely lost against Martin Akersson, and he played ROPS because he like Martin Akersson was the master of ROPS, and he I think they played before or something, and in the final, Martin could just do enough damage to offset the deck, and he won. But it was fun to see, like because I knew Martin Akersson, and for Maarten to reach. It's a fun, even though I didn't make day two, it was a fun experience to see a lot of people, because like Bastian was there also, and a lot of other like Marcus Rust and Marcus Schumacher and all like a lot of players that. So, like that year, it was more people got to know each other more and more, and then it was nice.
Nice. And so you had already qualified for Worlds because you won the Rylath Regional, you won the Netherlands tournament. You already qualified, so the European Championship was just for fun at this point, or if you'd won twice, you'd have 2 invites to Worlds if you happen to win twice, or how that worked?
No, I do think like the winner of the European Championship got some more benefits than the winner of the regional, but like it's always also because of pride. You want to do well, so of course I was already qualified, so it wasn't like I missed out on Worlds, but yeah, sure, you want to do well. But luckily, there were some cool side tournaments, and I think a lot of the Dutch players won a lot of those side tournaments. So that was quite funny. We got some nicknames for people winning strange tournaments, and it was a nice experience.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So European Championships is over, and then what's happening between then and you flying to Worlds? And is this like conflicting with school or work or anything, or you just say heck with it, I'm going, I don't care, or how did that happen?
Yeah, well, in '99, I did conflict with my studies, so I had to call a friend of mine. We both did a really big assignment, and I told her like because I knew if I would win, I would have to be in the States that time. So it's like, okay. So I remember calling her from a cell phone, like a old school cell booth or whatever, and like saying, "Oh yeah, I qualified now, so we have to." Because I already told her, like, if I qualified, I'll call you immediately, because then I'll probably have to change some stuff, because I really wanted to go, but I also didn't want to let her down. Like I knew her a long time, so it just you don't like. Each other like for no reason, for so big assignment, but it worked out. But luckily the year after I was already further in my studies, so I had some more flexibility to go to the United States. So, yeah.
So what was that like? In the first Worlds with the U.S. with 1999, was that in the U.S. or where was it?
Yeah, that was in Virginia Beach. That was near like the Decipher headquarters. And the 2000 was the first time they called it the Decipher Con, and it was in Kissimmee, Orlando.
Okay.
And yeah, it was fun, because I also spent some time after the Decipher Con to sightsee stuff, and for example, visit a preseason NBA basketball game. So that was a great experience as well.
Okay, nice. So what was it like traveling there? I know sometimes people recognize. Did you meet anyone on the way there, or did you just meet everyone when you got to DectechsCon or at the hotel, or when did you start meeting people?
Some people I met already like at the airport stuff, and this was a big change compared to '99, because in '99 like I didn't know a lot of people, but when I entered 2000, like I saw so many familiar people, and it was also because there were more people, because like the wild cards event that was there in '99 was way bigger in 2000, and there were also more side events. So I think the crowd was way bigger, and there were also more European players that didn't qualify, because like in '99, like I think the only people that showed up that didn't qualify were like coming like from local areas, or at least United States, and not from Europe, because like it's quite a tall order to qualify, and I can understand like having to fly over, and especially a lot of people were like either college students or like even high school kids. So yeah, then it's not something you would just do on a whim, like, oh, I'll fly to you. For me, for example, it was the first time flying to, like, I hadn't flown before when I went to the United States. So yeah.
Okay, cool. So I've heard some stories of Worlds 2000. I've heard about, kind of the inefficiency and waiting and whatnot. And you have anything, any experiences with that, or?
Well, I like, yeah, like I think some of people discussed it already, but like I was so glad I was qualified. I remember like seeing at first the line, the registration line for the wildcard event. I'm like, whew. And then and that was like already at the time that it should started, it should be starting, and then we just got to play some sealed deck events and other events, and we just could hang out and just be relaxed a little bit. And we heard like the horror stories of like games not completing, and like software problems, and then like the really like Johnny Chu visited me last year, and we discussed it, because then I didn't know him yet, but like knowing he's such a class guy, and like getting disqualified as such a extremely good player, like with man, I can definitely understand that. Well, I had a lot of frustration for people like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I remember, because I feel for Just Pates. That was one of the rules. Like, yeah, he was a great guy, but and he knew like, yeah, he got this assignment, like, yeah, apparently they made it clear, like, yeah, decklist is like it's just gone. Like there's not like, oh, you can play with one card less, or you can play this card, you have to play this. They just said like, and sure, sometimes you just have to make rules. I can understand, but it was especially frustrating for people already playing like 10 hours plus, and then realizing, oh, all that work is in vain because I've decklist error. So that was quite brutal.
I got it. I got it. So, all right. So yeah, the pre-qualifier, and so what? And so I guess is that day 2 of the term? Is that where the main everyone, or like what was that?
Yeah. So like, yeah, like the wild card was just essentially day 1, and then day 2 was like the main event.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there was also like a lot of fun stories, because I remember there was one uneven number for the tournament, and then the player not making the cut. I think it was Gabe Alonso. He was like going through the rounds, making sure like that one person wasn't there either, so he could play or something. It was just a lot of silly stuff going on. But after that, like the tournament started, and then yeah. Then it was just the day 2 event, and it was just a great experience playing against a lot of familiar faces and hanging out. So yeah.
Any surprises? Obviously, you've been playing in the Amsterdam regional, or sorry, the Dutch regionals. You play the European. Did you see like brand new stuff here that you've never seen before, or anything like that?
Yeah, well, some of the stuff I knew would be coming, but I was definitely that I think I talked earlier about. I definitely should have discussed more with like other players that were qualified, because I talked to like my Dutch crew, but I didn't talk like, for example, like to Martin or Yannick or stuff. And like everyone was like playing the bring in before me, or at least a lot of players were playing the bring in before me. And yeah, I should have like seen that would be definitely the day two deck that you should at least be able to beat. And I somehow I missed the memo, so I didn't do that well. I think I played a slightly modified version of the There's Good in Him deck. But like, yeah, with all optimized bring it before me decks, it definitely wasn't the right choice. So yeah. So well, it's but perhaps with a modified version. I think there are some newer style decks, but like the version I played wasn't tweaked for like the bring it before me that you saw a lot during that world. So.
Yeah, I think the docking bays, is generally the way the standard bring before me likes to play. And then of course, there is good in him. It gives a docking bay for free to the dark side to come there, right? And they can, go there as long as they draw. So yeah, no, there is good in him is known for a lot of cheese. Yes, the inserts is. You'll see a few people trying to run, there is good in him legitimately, like with mains, and try not to use inserts, but they don't tend to use this effective. I'm waiting for someone to prove me wrong, but usually TRM they do for things like that. Do you remember the dark side you played? Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, I think and I also made a mistake there, because I played raw ops, and like in '99, no one, like especially the American players, were not used to playing against raw ops. But in 2000, like all the American players were aware of like how to play against raw ops, or at least much better than. So that's also a huge difference compared to now, because like raw ops was definitely a deck that a lot of European players played, and I played in '99 against Maarten Logge. He was a Belgian guy, and he said to me, "Oh, you're actually the first guy that knows how to play against this deck, because his previous opponents like made some usual mistakes or waiting for." So he said, "Oh yeah, you took it to raw tier to prevent me to flip and stuff like that." And I was like, and in 2000, like everyone was aware, like, oh, raw ops sticks like this. You have to play against this. So, but it was just. Yeah, sometimes you just have to take a gamble, and I think I should have read the meta more. But I went for a strange deck with light that wasn't really optimized, and with dark I went for a deck that now was really well known. So yeah, I live and learn, I guess. So
Awesome, cool. There is one tournament report from 2000. Your name's mentioned in it. I just wanted to share this with you. I thought this was cool. I found this. Let me share my screen here. And if I go to here, so yeah, so I guess we had a guy do a turn report. You remember Dominic Gaudreau? You tell me about him.
yeah, he was a really fun guy. Yeah.
So yeah, and he said this about you, right? He said, at the hotel, I see Yannick introduced me to Martin Keeson and Koen, two of the coolest guys there, right? Is what he was saying. So what, like you met with them before the tournament, or like what happened here?
We met before, and like I think some of the people already described like some deck reports can be quite cringe-worthy now if you look back at them, and
Sure.
especially like we're more sensitive about certain stuff. And Dominique was also a younger player, but Dominique was a friend of Yannick, and I knew Yannick from '99, so we got to hang out with him, and he was just. It was a lot of fun with him, but also like the other people with there, because like there were so many people and so many characters, like for example like Clint Hayes. Like I know Clint Hayes, like some people have strong emotions about how he acted during that period, and I can definitely understand he did so. And I think he said it in an interview as well when he.
Yeah. No, and he gave you some praise. He said he says Koen, because he was the coolest player there. He was really kind. Koen, you are my idol. So he really liked you. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, thanks. That's very nice to you got to see that. Yeah, that was but I think the 2000 experience was also really nice because, like I said, a lot of people like then knew each other better, and even though the competition definitely was cutthroat, like you could already see like a little bit of the bonding, like more of the bonding because people like had seen each other before, and we all know. Yeah, you can say we're all nerds at a gaming convention, and we just have fun, and it's like that was just fun to see. So
I'm glad. I'm glad. Cool. Well, I think with that, maybe let's get on to your 2021. So 2021, you participated in the retro tournament. You made it to the top 8. So I kind of want to talk about some of your choices there because you inspired a lot of people. So I'll share my screen again here. Let me do that one. All right. So should be sharing now. All right. So this is what you ended up going with for your dark side, the 2021 tournament. Now, when I look at this, it's very similar to kind of like the Kevin Shannon deck we have listed on GIMP. So did you start with Kevin's deck and then you kind of make your own, or this was independent in your mind, or how did your like construction process go?
now, like I said, Martin Axon is the master of ROPS, so he was definitely the big inspiration of like the deck choices. So I'm fairly certain like that was a lot of the basis, like seeing how he tweaked his raw ops. And I think during like in the preparation of the tournament, I also realized on GAMP certain cards aren't there, and some cards are stronger now. Like I see the I've lost R2. I think that is one of the cards. I think maybe they changed the astromech rules, or the astromech rules were not so obvious back then, but I don't think a lot of people back then realized how incredibly powerful this card can be. Because looking at like all deck lists, I don't think anyone played it, or perhaps some niche tournament, but it wasn't the mainstay. And I think like realizing like one of the biggest threats of raw ops is like having some certain ships like continuously either follow you around or just have them stuck somewhere so you can go somewhere else and just safely drain without either paying for it or just do more damage. So that's one of the definitely some of the cards like with the GAMP, people realize certain cards are way stronger. And also like certain cards are like probably, especially the top 8, you probably knew like there would be some TRM being played. So I made some changes to hopefully circumvent that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think sorry, I meant to put TRM here. Yeah, so I think obviously TRM's continues to be a very and I've lost her too. You're right, because I never considered it way back then, but it's a great way to segregate the home one. So some play super home one, and actually, if you flip Rallops, you could stick them in any of your planets, and then if you flip, they're doing a drain -1, so they're not doing much damage to you. So I agree. You can use it for Super Falcon too, if they're playing that potentially. So no, I agree. It's a good card there. So okay, so you realize that I've lost R2. In the modern age, we realized this is stronger, so you included it. You did three altars. Of course, I guess Kevin Shannon did 2 altars. So, what led you to say like 3 altars versus like 2 altars in a sense or something like that?
I think it's a combination because you probably want to grab the sense, then you go for the grab of the sense with this build, like with having 3 altars, and then you still have a chance in certain sec wars. And I also think like some of the light side effects are so strong that I prefer to have like the 3rd altar instead of the sense. I think the interrupts are where the real danger is for the dark side, like or like prime example, but also beggar. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you already. Yeah. So those two cards can really mess you up. Yeah, Baghdad Tank, if especially against the decks that have like 24 activation turn 2 or 3, then that could be all kinds of problems.
No, I agree with you. Now, and you'll see some people like they'll try to do point man. So when some people play ROPS, some people might do like 2 altars in a point man. Or do you think it'd be good to take one out for a point man, or you're like, no, I still want 3 altars? Or any opinion on that?
I definitely see something in adding a point man, especially like I haven't been really active like during like the past year or the past couple of years in the retro scene, but I think there's some really cool stuff I'm reading about, and also like the whole retro league, and there's a lot of people being drawn to it, which is I find really nice to see. And I do think like we discussed earlier, like the Gamp meta, I think it's also counts for the Death Star too. Like you see some developments like, oh, do I go for the hidden base, or do I go for this, or do I go for profit? And depending on what is the probably the meta decks you're expecting, I can see like Pointman being a better inclusion than like a third altar. But like I said, I haven't been paying close attention to the retro meta in the last couple of years. So like you could share your insight, because I think you're doing a lot of either reporting or just talking to people about it.
Yeah, well, I think obviously, this is a game of like imperfect information, right? And so, I mean, obviously, if your opponent's not playing order to engage, then, point man's usefulness is much less. I just like it because it gets around. Some people like to do like, like do or do not, right? Do or do not. And they try to like punish you for, canceling. So so I might consider doing that, but I mean, the altars, obviously they're retrievable, they're nice, but as far as like other people, like when you saw Kevin Shannon, his is very similar. What I've liked about your deck, right? Because he had like kind of the forest and the jungle and the swamp. I really like that your deck kind of showed me the kind of the power of like the spaceport street, being able to kind of move for free. And being able to move for free with AT-STs is really, really powerful. And
Definitely.
and you inspired a player called SWC Player, and he uses ROPS when he's playing PDS2 often. He's a very good player. It's very devastating, and this is kind of he used most of your templates. So if I kind of like compare your 2 decks, he just swapped out a couple of cards here, right? So he added like a Cannot Hide Forever for numbers protection. He added, kind of like Mark Hand and Watts, so he has a potential to get, an extra Battle Destiny if it gets all 3 of those cards. But for the most part, even amongst his kind of versions he kind of stuck to kind of the core of what you did, which is you have a couple extra, like Hoth locations for Force, and you have like 2 different ways. Like you can, for Imperial Decree, you can really shut them down. And that's one reason why I really liked your deck, because using Imperial Decree, you can really shut down the light side and make them really, really sad, even if they get to ROPS and everything. And maybe you could speak about it, because obviously you plan, like, how often did you shut down, like do the decree via like being on Hoth? Like maybe you failed to, hold route tier effectively, so you went to Hoth, or how do I understand that bit?
Yeah, it definitely is like, again, certain decks are definitely the option, but like the street part is, I think, one of the most crucial elements, because like TRM is so popular, and usually they don't give you a lot of force. So then being force choked, it's like can be really painful. So having like not having to pay for all your movements is really beneficial. And also, if you align the sites in a certain way, you can like make it more difficult for them to like flip you back, or just having certain beneficial situations to hinder the light side of doing more damage. And like you said, in certain matchups, the Imperial Decree lock can be a useful tool to make sure like you don't get any damage against you. And, it's usually not the first option, but it's definitely nice to have an option to see if you can shut down the opponent.
No, I agree. It's very powerful, and it's why I personally I tend to like this version of the ATSTs a little more than the troopers. The troopers can be very fast, it can be very damaging, but this one is very good at control. Like if you're able to kind of get your cards out, and you can really lock down the light side, and you can really make their life really painful. And I was just curious because we had like cards like Fenson, So was this your idea to do Fenson, or was this inspired by Martin as well, or?
I think this could be like hedge your bets a little bit against, because it's your I think that's the top 8, and then if people go like with the really wacky numbers decks, then it's nice to have at least some defense against the numbers in the deck. And he's just like I love to play with scrub, so he's just an additional scrub. So it's because like the You Cannot Hide Forever is definitely better against the numbers, but in certain matchups you don't have anything like worthwhile for the You Cannot Hide Forever, except for getting certain effects. But I don't think you can get a lot of effects. Yeah, by battle order probably. But
you battle order, or you get like Search and Destroy is what you would do.
It's definitely nice, but I think I went because then you get another body to make sure you can flip more easily, because I think that's also like I said with TRM choking your activation, sometimes somewhat more problematic to get a flip going on, and with some cheap people to deploy, it makes it more easy to do that.
I agree with you. And so maybe can you walk people through like how you recommend playing this deck? Because I think I have the YouTube video up where I think you were playing Joe Olson against his TRM deck, and I think in this matchup, you deployed I think like one character to I think one of these docking bays, and then he deployed a spy, and then Obi-Wan, right? And the Obi-Wan kind of like I guess did a little smack, and you lost some force basically, and ended up losing your jungle. Kind of what happened there. So like like any thoughts about like when to deploy to a docking bay versus when not to? Obviously, TRM has a little bit higher tempo against you, or do you think it's like even though a spy could always come and smack you down, it's worth always deploying, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's in certain matchups you want to play it slow, because you're probably if I flip, then I'm in the right situation, and sometimes you just have to gamble. I'm not really have all the total recollection of the game against you, but I think I took the gamble because I needed some more activation, and then it backfired. But sometimes you just have to like take a chance, because I think if I didn't do that, then I would have not have a lot of activation, and then it would be more difficult to make sure that I got flipped. And it could also be sometimes like if you activate a site that you probably say, hey, I don't want to draw up like 10 cards or something. Perhaps I'm going to use some force, and hopefully I can get the site back to get it next turn, especially in match play, because sometimes drawing up a lot of cards can be painful. But you usually try to protect that. That's why I have like the ATST pilots, like to prevent you from having to go to ground where they can hit you. You can hide those characters in the ATSTs. So and that was also one of the reasons I did play this version, because I was expecting, and then like getting all your people chopped up by lightsabers or the blasters. I thought it was nice to put them in the ATSTs.
No, I completely agree, and that's one thing I love about the deck is that a lot of the TRM they're trying to use Obi-Wan with lightsaber, right? Obi-Wan, or they're trying to use Luke with lightsaber, or they're trying to use Leia with blaster, and the issue is that if they're in the ATST, you can even put cannon fodder, right? Sometimes, so if they're the one that has two pilots, you can put another guy there, even if he's not, you can put like Fenton in here, right? So you're right. It's very it can be very, what's the word, debilitating. It can be very destroys the morale of the light side, right? Because they can get rid of one guy only via battle destiny at best, and if you're at the jungle, they might not even lose anything. You might not lose anything. So yeah, so it can be an extremely mean deck, and these guys are a big part of it. You can also deploy them by default via the objective. So no, it's really mean once you kind of get going here.
That's one thing but I think most raw ROPS players know it. But like if you haven't played raw ops that much before, that's something to take into account. That you probably want to, if you just want to do a deck check, you probably want to use arrest order and not like go for the side, because after a while sometimes you don't want to deploy anything, you just want to check. Especially against like those V-down decks, and if there's done one ATST pilot in it and you have to deploy it while you just wanted to check if you could trample, for example, someone, then yeah, that's a risk.
No, I agree, and some of your choices were nice. Like I really love that you have Masterful Move. Masterful Move is one of the few, high destinies here, right? You also have Janice here who can deploy cheaper. You have Sim who can deploy cheaper with the Emperor. And this synergizes very well with Trample. And so you can use this and you can track your 6 and you can trample, most, like undercover spies or, people that aren't Jedi on the ground, and you can eliminate them. So very, very effective technique. And is that something that you came up with, for the 2021, or you had been trampling people your career back in 2000, or help me understand that bit?
Oh no, like yeah. Well, it's to no one's surprise. Trample is a great card, and I think that's also one of the things. Like GAMP has increased the opportunity to learn to track for people. So and like you said, Masterful Move, especially end game, it's way more easier. And like cards with Janus also makes it easier. And yeah, the deck is like, hopefully you can like loop it, and I assume, like against most players, you assume like they either grab like an altar or they grab the trample. But yeah, if they don't have any grab cards, then then you can hopefully loop them a lot. But yeah, that card is quite strong as well. So
Yeah. I guess one thing I'm wondering about here is if you're gonna look at playing this again potentially, do you still think like the two Hoth sites are important? Like, cause some people they like to play like Dagobah Cave, right? Just to give them like an additional like extra 2 force. And and some people have different opinions on every site. So obviously you have 4 sites. Some people they have 5. Some people might like add a desert or something. Some people stick to 4. In like Brad Kipple's decks, for instance, he only has like 1 docking bay here. Do you have any opinion? Kind of years later, do you think it's still good to have some of these cards, or you think like, no, I want 2 docking bays so I can like have more activation before I deploy to Raltier if I need to, or how do you feel about that?
um, Yeah, like I said, I haven't really looked into the retro meta the last couple of years, so perhaps certain aggressive decks are more popular. I can understand, like, if you expect more aggressive decks and you need the force more quickly, then I can understand perhaps adding another Twix in there is helpful. I do think like um, having the two docking bays, yeah, of course, sometimes it happens that you manage to miss one of them, but usually you get them both, and it's fairly linear. So it reduces the variance of the deck, and I do think this deck doesn't need that much force. So that's why I think I chose the two docking bays. But I definitely see something in, like, depending on what you're expecting, to either go more for especially because the cave is a safe Twix. Then you go for like more Twixes to boost up your activation quicker. Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I mean, SWC player was inspired. Obviously, Kench had a similar deck. Brad
Nice
Kipple,
to
I think, is
hear. Yeah.
also a similar deck in many ways. It's based a little bit more off of Kevin Shannon's, but no, I think this format is really really strong, and I really appreciate you playing this deck because it inspired a lot of decks. It inspired me to thinking because this masterful move also works really well with IG88, and that can be a nasty surprise. So this was really helpful to a lot of people, and so thank you for this.
Sure, you're welcome.
Okay, any other final thoughts on playing kind of your version of ROPS that anyone else might want to know or might be helpful to them?
Yeah, like I said, like the uh, be aware of the how you if you don't play a lot of ROPS, then seeing top players, I would highly recommend, like you just talked about Brad Kipple. I think there's a lot of recent YouTube or Twitch videos that people play ROPS, to look at the site layout. It's quite important, especially the street. You probably want to do the street in a certain way. And for people that don't play a lot of ROPS, I think that's one of the things that like nuances that increases your win chances if you see how other players are doing it. Also as a counterplay to see, oh, they'll probably want to do.
Okay, well maybe we can talk very quickly. So how should you lay out your sites? Obviously, the spaceport sites have to be next to each other. In your deck, you have a jungle. So
Yeah.
so what's the ideal layout? Like from left to right, what should be the far left of the screen versus kind of to the far right in an ideal ROPS layout?
Yeah. Like usually, and my remember, like how I remember it, like could be a little bit off, but I tend to, like I want the street at least usually at one end of the site layout, because you have the flexibility with the street to go to the other places. So you want to be that what will be either on the total left or the total right. So that when people move there, you can move like as far away as you like, or like go. You have more options. If you put it more in the middle, then you probably give your opponent more options to hinder you, and now you can trap them a little bit more. So that's I think one of the most important things to take into account. And other sides sometimes is a little bit dependent on how quickly the lighted player has deployed already characters to the ground, because that could influence your decision, because you put down arrest order, so you don't have to worry about neighbor leads, like people neighboring over for a beatdown. So I think the docking bay probably it, like to the also to one of the more extreme sides, because if people want to come over, then they're not in the middle, and then the prefect's office, and then to the other side the jungle. So yeah. But like I said, I haven't played like lately the retro stuff. So, but in my mind, like that's usually how you want to play it.
I tend to agree, and I agree with you. I usually want my street and I want my spaceport docking bay to be as far away as possible, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Um, but of course, in this case, you have foresight. So the jungle would have to either be next to the spaceport or it'd have to be next to the street. Do you have an opinion on kind of where the jungle should go in this scenario?
I think how it is now, as you see it on the screen, is probably not bad as an option. And sometimes you could say, for example, if people already deployed to the docking bay, that you might want to change it up. But I think it's yeah.
I guess my only thought on this one is that a lot of times it could be a TRM deck, it could be another one. They might have Home One Docking Bay, and they might have Jedi Knight Luke. And Jedi Knight Luke can be a little bit annoying for ROPS, as long as not they're good as him. So, in my mind, I might like to have the spaceport on the far left, and I might like to have the jungle away. That way, like Luke has to like slow walk over potentially. Versus if it's like this as it is, then if he moves to the spaceport, he can harass my guy on this side or harass my guy on this side. Versus if it's a spaceport all on one side, his ability to bother me and stop my force drains is limited.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I think perhaps we didn't go into that too much, but you tend to draw out first the docking bays, that the executor and the Death Star docking bays, and pull out like the other raw tier sites, and you want to avoid putting the docking bay out too early.
Yes.
So that also makes sure that like the early Luke cannot at least use your own docking bay to screw you over. So yeah, definitely a great point, Bill, to add that for the discussion how to proceed in the opening stages of the ROPS deck.
All right, cool. All right, well let's get on to the light side that you played. So, okay, so this is what you played in 2021. You played a TRM docking bay version, which also inspired a lot of people. And so how did you come up with this deck? Kind of what's the origin for what led you to this version here?
Yeah, I have to once again give props to Martin Axel. That I think it was also like a fun experiment. Like back in the days of like this, I think it's still being called the New Age throne room. It was like one of the two archetypes. You either like the nudge, or how do you pronounce it? Like the more with the TRM with the careful planning, and this is the other way. And I really like this version because you also decrease the variance a little bit. And I like having like the cheap look that you can use as activation in certain matchups because you could deploy him to like the Home One docking bay, and he generates more force for you there because of like the staging area stuff, or not the staging areas, the staging areas, and his own game text. So yeah.
And so yeah, because I was a little bit curious about it. So basically, yeah, you like this, you like the less deploy of Luke, you like the +1 force generation. Because a lot of decks they just run 3 Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. And so here you like this just because it's a little bit of extra speed. And so in your ideal situation, you'd draw both of these and then you deploy Luke Skywalker, then you'd quickly replace him. Or when do you decide to replace it? Like when you're about to battle, then you're like, haha, I have Jedi Knight instead, or like what? How do you do that?
Yeah, it depends a little bit. If you're a little bit more risk averse, you probably do it earlier rather than later. But you could also ride it for longer to see how it works, especially against Bring It Before Me. Sure, you don't want to give them cards on the effect, but it does allow you to get more activation going. But yeah, I think that's also like a little bit of experience to see when to do it. So also, it probably also depends. Like if you get also for example an early Gunita, then you probably could wait a little bit longer to switch them over. If you think, oh, I already have a lot of card advantage, then you could do it earlier. But I think it depends on. For example, if you hit a couple of Twixes, then you probably already have a lot of force, and then the force generation part is less important from the loop decktechs than if you don't get any activation going. So
Sure. Yeah, no, yeah, you have the standard kind of the 3 Mon Calamari. The NSP is really nice because she can deploy to home 1 docking bay for 1 force, and
yeah.
is among the cheapest there. And would you say that generally speaking, whenever you're kind of drawing your hand and you're using, insurrection to deploy your docking bays, you're prioritizing putting someone at, your Echo docking bay and your home 1 docking bay first probably, and you're
Yeah.
probably prioritizing trying to get 2 people here to generate a lot of force in order to get more cards, or how would you kind of describe kind of like the optimal opening and like playing strategy for this deck?
Yeah, I remember the at the tournament of 2021, like I think like the bring in was of course popular. You had the ROPS, so those were like the 2 of the decks that you needed to be preparing for. And I think like using your docking bay pool first turn to see like what's in my force pile, just checking, because like especially the first couple of turns, it's just getting as much activation out as possible. And then TRM is usually a reactive deck, so also watches what is your opponent doing. And if you get ahead in the activation, then you can pounce on him when he either goes weak, or you see some weak spots, or you can go for there. In this deck, there are not a lot of spies, but if you have like the Jerome Web and the Blount are both spies, so if you get them early, and they do go for example, the ROPS, like we just discussed, like putting a scrub at a docking bay for activation, and you can see if you can punish it. Although I would be careful with that, because usually it doesn't pan out like you think it will be, and then if you don't do really a lot of damage, or they have a game, then you also put yourself in not the ideal situation. So like it's something else if you have a draw or fire in hand and they don't have a force, then like sure, they could be having an operational plant or something, but sometimes you just have to take the gamble. Then if you see an opening, then sometimes you have to pounce to go for the beat down.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I'm wondering, because in your default deck, you have one battleground site. So you have, Tatooine Docking Bay 94, you have, Ben Kenobi. And so in the game that I saw on YouTube, right, you deployed Ben with his lightsaber here, and you deployed, Jedi Knight Luke with his lightsaber here, and you're waiting. And, I guess would you say like your default state is you're trying to, get your force activated, go to Docking Bay 94, put pressure on the opponent by force draining him, and then you're trying to build up your force pile, and then trying to like do like a Leia with Han, and then trying to get like an I know and trying to get like a Skywalkers and trying to really like, get a ton of force and do kind of like an overflow situation?
Sometimes that's the way, and I think that's also one of the difference. I think frozen acid still hasn't been programmed into GAMP, so frozen acids used to be like a definitely inclusion in these kind of decks, because then you could more easily go for the beatdown. And now you do have Bagger, so Bagger is definitely the method of trying to see if you can go for a beatdown. And I think, like you said, I think that's against decks that are slow. You probably want to put pressure, or like for example the ROPS, you want to prevent them from flipping. So you want to go to their either side or system to make sure that they have a harder time flipping, and go from there. One card I wanted to discuss that's also one of the cards that I think is much more appreciated now than it was back in the day is Out of Commission. I think Out of Commission was being played back in the day, but I think like the effect of putting cards out of play can be so devastating against certain decks. That's the floating 5. Sometimes you see like the Shocking Revelation or something, or some other Destiny 5, but having Out of Commissions in there could be like a way to win the game if you get lucky. And back in the day there were not, like, if you see how many cool nifty Destiny 5 or 6 interrupts there are now to play. Back in the day you were already happy that it was a free card you could cycle back, and now you have in the open area you have so much more options to tweak your destinies. But this is one of the cheap versions of getting destinies back.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you don't have On the Edge on your deck. Yeah. So yeah, no, I agree. It's a floating 5, and you can use that for a number of things. So yeah, so you could use that for On the Edge if you had it here, but obviously you have like Fallen Portal. You could use that. You can use it just for more destinies. And I think this is one card that it benefits from copies because you can just draw it and use it immediately, and you can have like 2 floating 5s there if they don't grab it. And so if they don't have a grabber, this card can be very devastating. It can be very devastating versus Hunt Down, for instance. It can really kill Hunt Down. So no, I agree that's a good card, and sometimes it's hard to do multiple copies of it, but you did you fit 2 here.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's also like we discussed earlier about the dark side deck and the choices of grabbing something. It's also the case for here, like Out of Commission is not a card you usually want to grab, but like if you can get them off a couple of times, then especially against a deck like Hunt Down, but also like Bring It Before Me, if certain characters. That's
Yeah. No, I agree with you, and no, I think you have a lot of solid cards here. You ended up fitting a lot of mains, and you kind of the double Han, double Leia combo, and the kind of the you had 2 OBs, 3 Lukes technically speaking, but you had a couple extra 4 ability people, and you chose Wedge just because he's a Destiny 4, or why did you include him in this deck?
Yeah, he's Destiny 4, and his forfeit is insane.
It's 8. That's true. It's 8 here. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's really nice. And like you said, like with the method of the ROPS that you described, Wedge is someone that if you want to take a chance, you could, for example, if it's probably not the first option, but you could say, oh, I'm just going to put him at a docking bay and go for the staging areas. And after 1 or 2 turns, you consolidate your forces. It's also a little bit like, I think against ROPS, you could do it probably more easily, although I don't think you need to do ROPS, gives you already some activation. But yeah, and he's also a great pilot on the Falcon. If you don't get the other pieces going, sometimes you just have to go for it.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. No, I think I think your deck here has a lot of solid fundamentals. I like the I know and I like the Skywalkers and the potential. Obviously, you have three. Oh no, you just have two. You just have two. You have the weapon levitation to kind of another kind of floating high destiny slash steal their weapons slash get your own. So no, I think you have the potential to really gank him. And it seems you sit down a lot, but I think most decks tend to run like they're trying to gank people. They're trying to like spy and do an attack. They usually do two. So I think that bit works well. I don't know if you go ahead. I don't know if you looked at kind of the deck list, but like Brad Kipple's deck is very similar to a lot of your decks. I'd say the biggest difference is that he floats. He has a couple more. He's a couple more kind of Twixes. He floats a system to go there. He did in 2024, but
Nice.
he had two Obi-Wans, although he did Obi-Wan Saber. He did two two spies, right? Two spies. He had this wedge here, but he also had kind of the three them, and you'll notice he had two grabbers, Kunite, draw their fire. He only had one out of commission, but two signals. He had two televisions. You had three, but otherwise and he also a battle plan here, but it's very similar deck. What he had.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that wedge is amazing. Like, I played a lot of this version of wedge and also a lot of other decks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sure, there are not a lot of rogue squadrons in there. I think Taiku is a rogue one, so effectively you could use his cancel game text, but he's just a great pilot drawing on his own if not able to otherwise. Yeah.
I think he's okay. I honestly don't love him. I know if you have a tight deck, you use him, right? Because, it's just one card versus two, but like I don't love him with home one because he only adds three for a starfighter. So in this case he'd only work for this Falcon. Versus I really like, personally I do like Webb. He's low power, but he adds to anything. So I like Blount and Webb for my spies personally, if I can fit them in there. Yeah.
I think there are points to make for both choices, but I do agree with you. If you're going for probably using wedge for the Destiny cancel is not probably why Brad Kipple played it, but when it happens, it happens. But I think like you said, Bill, like having a cheap spy is helpful, and yeah, it's the chance that you get them in the ideal situation with a wedge was one of the reasons I didn't choose it, even though I really like that wedge version. So
yeah. No, and what I thought was interesting too is that initially Brad, he kind of did, kind of the regular Falcon that Lando. He started with this one, and then he didn't have a Malos, but then he kind of pivoted this last time, and so he added Malos, and so if you compare kind of the mains he had to kind of the mains you have, very similar. The only one difference is you have Taw's Caw, he doesn't. But otherwise, it's mostly the same in the second version. So, people have been iterating on your idea, and I think it's really cool. I really like the deck. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And I like the Obi's also. I think there were some people playing Circle is Now Complete in the 2021 decks. And that was one of the reasons I like Ben, because he has at least some protection against the duel. But I definitely can see that like the Obi with lightsaber is definitely for a beatdown oriented deck.
Yes.
Easier to set up. So yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. No, and yeah, he's definitely more defensive. The only the thing I don't like about him obviously is that he's hard to beat down, so he doesn't really work with spies that well because unless they're deploying somewhere weird. it is kind of that reason, I guess I would suppose. And the reason, I guess, is like in your game you had like Obi with Luke, but the problem is, of course, is that if Luke has a lightsaber, I don't think you get the lightsaber back. I think if you forfeit Luke's lightsaber, you lose the lightsaber. Go ahead.
Correct. No, that's definitely true. No, the ideal targets are like the either the high forfeit guys like Wedge or so, or like the Hanson Leias, the AVPs, the EPPs, they also have quite high forfeit value, or Ekbar, but usually Ekbar is not on the ground. But
not usually. That's true. Not usually. But yeah, no, it's still a good combo, and if you're reviving a Jedi Knight Luke, that can also be devastating / demoralizing to ROPS too. So even if you're losing a lightsaber, but you're retrieving 9, getting 9 back, that's also really bad for them. So I like that aspect. Okay. Any other suggestions for people that want to kind of pilot your version of TRM docking bays that they should be aware of?
No, I think just see if you like it. I think one of the more when you get used to it, like tunnel vision is like a really strong card, but it's also like you need to be more aware of like checking your deck in a different way. So especially once you get to activate more force, then that also tends to be like more practice. Like see what kind of cards memorize somewhat more, especially the one-offs. Like, do you see them in your reserve deck? And if you haven't paid for anything yet, then you know it's in my force deck. Like cards like the Draw the Fire or the Gunite, especially at the beginning, but also like a Clash, or if you expect several barriers like Skywalkers could be some. So tunnel vision gives you great flexibility, but it takes some use to recognizing what's the best play, and that's you just have to play a couple of games to see what are the cards that are the best. And I think that's like if you're already playing Star Wars, then you are already aware of it. But if you haven't played Star Wars that much and it's your first time dipping into like the Premiere Death Star 2, then seeing the power of the flexibility of tunnel vision is something that requires some practice, but definitely can be beneficial if you look more to your deck. Yeah.
No, I think they're good points. Yeah, and you probably want to be checking kind of with Insurrection, to see what's in your deck so that oh, that wasn't in my deck, and I want this card, therefore I can use television to get the card I really do want. No, that's a good point, and I think the classic TRM would do a similar thing, right? Because you use the farm to check your deck, to see what's there as well. Kind of the same basic idea there. So.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll stop sharing then. So, thank you, Koen / Steve Buss, for the interview and Deck Tech, and I think people really enjoy it.
Oh, thank you, and thanks for the interview, and have a nice evening, or evening for me, and probably hopefully you don't have to work that long anymore, and then.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Bye.